Hi, I'm Colin, and today I'm going to show you step by step how to overlay concrete with paving stones. Alright guys, so what we're doing here today is what's called a concrete overlay with pavers. The idea is to take some older concrete, especially this exposed ag, and dress it up a little bit by covering it with some nice, neat looking pavers. There's a couple of things you're going to want to consider when doing a paver overlay on concrete, and that's to make sure that you have the proper ground clearance for your pavers around your siding or any pillars that you have. Also, the thickness of the paver would be crucial to that. And if you have any steps involved. What we're doing for this project is we're just going to make a face across this step here and bridge our border across it. For the siding, where it's not quite high enough, we're going to mark a line across it so that we can cut it and raise it up. And then the bases of these pillars are going to be pretty easy. We're just going to separate the 1x6s on the bottom and raise those up in order to clear those pavers. The first step to overlaying your concrete with paving stones is to inspect your concrete. You're going to want to make sure that there's not any major cracks through this. If there's just a few hairpin cracks, you're probably going to be okay. Also, you want to make sure the slope is good. You want to either meet or exceed the ICPI standard of 2% of slope or greater to make sure that any water that accumulates on the top of your patio or covered area will drain off of it. You're going to want to make sure that any threshold or siding or pillars you have around your concrete are going to be able to clear the thickness of your paving stone. There's typically varying thicknesses of paving stones that you could use for an overlay, so some might actually fit with what you have. If they don't, it's usually acceptable to cut your siding, move the bases of your pillars, or cut your threshold to make that paver thickness fit. Also, you want to make sure that your concrete is perfectly clean so that whatever type of adhesion method you use, whether concrete, caulk, or mortar, will stick and adhere well for longevity. Step 2 is optional, and it's applicable to any project that has a concrete face that you want to cover. So since we're doing a front porch, there's some exposed ag concrete showing underneath where our paving stones are going to go. We're going to take some Chateau block, mortar them on end so we can cover it up and dress it up a little bit. So specific to our project and design, we're going to face the front of this porch with wall block. Now on the side where there's the step, it's really easy. We're just going to have to glue and mortar that block onto the face of it. But continuing past that point here, we're into dirt, so we had to dig a trench. We're going to put at least 4 inches of gravel. We're going to do 1 course flat for a little bit more stability. Set that down. This is Chateau Moderna. It's just going to be semi-flat here for the sake of instruction. We're going to lay 1 course on there, upright, to match the same height as the ones in front of our step. So it's continuous throughout and it looks the same. So because we're working with a sloped driveway and we wanted to face the perimeter of this porch, there's an area here where there's a large void because of that slope. We're going to build it up with mortar and then bring our blocks up to flat so that our border sits flat all the way across. Step 3 is to install your border. Typically you would just glue this to the outside perimeter of your concrete that you're trying to overlay. Since we had a wall block placed to cover the face of our concrete, we're going to glue it to the top of that. Step 4 is to install your geofilter. The main purpose of this geofilter is to retain any of our joint sand that might try to settle through our paving stones. It also helps retain any bedding sand used to split the differences of any humps and bumps in our concrete. Step 5 is our bedding layer. We're just going to put a very thin layer of sand here to separate our filter fabric from our pavers. While the bedding layer is here to help us bridge any imperfections in our concrete, it's mostly essential to help reduce moisture transfer through the filter fabric, which it can absorb, to the paving stone, which can promote efflorescence. Step 6, we're going to go ahead and lay our field with pavers and make any cuts needed. For step 7, with our field laid and cut in, all we have to do now is sweep in our joint sand.